Hi, I'm Tom Beattie, and I'm the founder and director of Screenology. And today I'm talking with.
I'm Luci Hunter and guest producer, AD kind of gal.
My name's Jan Andes, and I mostly do director of photography for all the projects that we create.
My name is Jack Toyle, and I'm a producer.
My name's Adam Hipwell, and I direct and edit and write.
And the title of this podcast is Free to Create, because I guess that is essentially what Screenology is about. It's we want people to feel free to create in whatever ways they want to create. And I brought you guys in because you're on the kind of beginning of setting up your own production company, which for me is the ultimate free to create. It's like, we get to decide on how we work, what we make, etc., etc. So, welcome. If you'd like just to tell me a little bit about who you are, your relationship to Screenology, and what you're up to, let's kick off with that.
Nice.
Yeah. Who's?
We're doing it on an individual.
Do it however you like to do it. Yeah.
Well,
free. You're free.
I'm free. I'm Luci, and I'm free. And we set up. We took our favourite people and made a thing, so we can do exactly that.
Yeah.
Create
What's your thing called?
We are Barri Films.
Tell us about that. Where's the name? Is Barri as in Arri camera with a B on the front?
Actually.
No, it's not.
Misconception.
No.
So
I'm just in terms of spelling.
So it's a funny story. So basically, Jan and I called Harry Goff. Barry is just a nickname, and Harry has his sort of own way about going about things.
Right.
And he kind of treated this nickname as a two-way process and started calling us Barry as well, which was funny. And then on graduation, we were laughing about that, and we kind of decided, well, why don't we all just be Barry? Do you know what I mean? And therefore we were like, oh yeah, that works. Actually, that works. But we changed the Y to an I just to be arty. Really,
Okay.
But it does look like
a
the
bit
Harry, doesn't it?
different,
Yeah.
Because we were trying to figure out a name for ourselves and our production company. We couldn't. The more we tried, the more we just hated the names. And we had the temporary one, which wasn't really working for every single person. We kind of just settled on it for now. And then when Barry just came out, it was like, it's such a neutral, like no one will ever think that's related to films from the first get-go, so I thought that actually really works.
And we all loved it.
And we all loved it.
You guys were like, we were kind of like shouting around because we were all, there's loads of us together, and we were all kind of shouting around to each other, like, wait, what do you think of Barry? And we're like, yeah, fuck it, I love Barry, let's do this. So, it was really, it's kind of like a nice story of how we got it, which is also what we wanted at the beginning. We wanted it to be fun, and coming up with the other name wasn't fun because it was very stressful.
It was stressful. We were going through names and voting and stuff, and it was like,
So you all met at Screenology, is that right?
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
In room 10. Room 10 was our room.
So what point did you start to make those connections as a group of people? And then at what point did you decide, hey, we're going to do our own thing?
I think it was probably quite a gradual process throughout the whole 3 years, because we've all kind of known each other from the 3 years, because our year group 2019 was all very sort of friendly. I mean, Josh is right there. Hey, Josh.
So 2019 means that's the year that you started.
That's the year we started.
So September 2019.
That was our year group.
You all arrived here
Monday,
in this building, in fact, wasn't
Monday,
it?
In this room.
In this room,
Monday the 16th of September 2019, we walked into this room.
Jeff has all the dates.
He's got those page diary entries.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Excellent.
But yeah, we all knew each other, but it was, I guess it was in third year when we were all sort of really.
Well, I think Ez's head. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I think Ez's head and Mooney was kind of and your film as well, I guess. But that was probably the start of us all kind of realising these people are like our kind of gang, and then doing Mooney and Ez's head, which is Adam and Zena's film. We were all like working together, and we just worked really well together.
But there was a moment where we booked 1.5, the room next door, which is the studio room, for like 2 or 3 different films that were happening, and we all kind of just did our work that would need to be done for those films, like respectively, in that same room. And so that if Jan was DP on Mooney and Ez's head, he could be sat with me 1 minute and then he'd go and sat with Zena, and we all kind of we all kind of like worked in like a synergy. that then became Room 10, which I think annoyed a lot of people, especially Charlotte.
Yes, especially Charlotte.
We always,
It's
that was her favourite
It's the room with the best lighting.
Best lighting and the
it's
best
the
table.
warmest.
It's probably
Warmest,
changed.
I was gonna say.
I think it's changed now as well. But like, it used to have a nice table in the middle, and we all just sat around that and just got on with it. And that was kind of our hub. We thought, well, we should probably figure out a way of continuing this after we graduate.
Right, can you remember that moment, like how that kind of conversation started to come about?
Did it start with you coming in one day and saying...
Yeah, it was a bit of a mad rant. Well, me and Luci were talking about it because we were just sort of curious and looking at offices and stuff.
Yeah.
And we're going down the right rabbit hole.
I know, it's
aren't we?
weird,
This
it
is
was like
great.
ages ago, isn't it?
Well, we were talking, we were like, and I was sort of like, okay, well, we've got Jack, Jan, Brandon, Senna, me, you. Harry came later, but and Luke, who's no longer with us, but he's still like an associate, but he's doing his own thing. And we were like, well, we work together really well. We've proven this in these last sort of few weeks that we kind of work well as a team, and we should probably try and figure out a way of doing this. And Luci and I were getting really gasping. Yeah, this is great. Well, we can get like a space, and we'll pay individually. It'll make the price cheaper, and that makes it achievable, and blah blah blah. So I think I kind of came bounding in the next day. It was just like, we want to do this thing. Do you know what I mean? We're going to do this thing. We're all get this room. We're going to basically, if we pay like this, then we don't have to pay as much, and it's going to be great, and we can basically just room 10 just somewhere else. Do you know what I mean? And we pitched a few, like sort of Matt Cox was pitched to as well. He didn't really think it was for him, but he was originally a part of the people that we sort of pitched it to, and yeah. So then we kind of thought, yeah, this works. This is great. We'll do this, and then we started looking at places.
Okay, so what was this? Like, if you pitched to Matt and other people, what was this at this point? Like,
in my head, I called it Room 10 Collective. I always just never like, no, this is Room 10 Collective. Because everyone that went to Room 10 is part of this.
I just called it making films with my friends, because it was a way to continue Screeno beyond Screeno. Because my initial thing, I was worried about leaving Screeno and losing that creative energy that I'd really managed to get with and enjoy over the 3 years. I was worried about losing that and just being on my own. And so this idea was like, I can actually continue this and still be around the people I love, and still be around Screeno, and still be around films, and just so that's why the idea immediately appealed to me, because I can keep on doing it within that realm.
But the idea was basically we keep the momentum that we built, especially in third year, because I think our year group, we got the last half of first year taken by COVID, and then all of second year, and I think we were all really itching to get back and just give it some, because we were absolutely gagging for it. And I think especially our sort of group, I think the whole year group did a lot with second year and the limitations that we were sort of set with, and I think we just had this urge to get back and just smash it, so that we came in with like a full tank of gas and just
I think that might kind of be why we all gravitated to each other as well, because obviously we're all really good friends, and that really helps, but we were all kind of in the same mindset about like wanting to go far, and being, also we might as well try and fail at something we enjoy rather than just doing something we hate and failing at that anyway.
Exactly.
And I think that's kind of what kind of maybe banded us together really strongly is that we just thought, fuck it, let's just try something.
I mean, that was part of the pitch as well, weren't it? I was just like, look, let's do it, and if it doesn't work,
let's move on and
do something else.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's no harm in trying. Here we are trying.
So let's come into the kind of present of what are you trying to do now then? What is the trying? What's the I tell you what, let's just think, like, if this all goes to plan, and Barri Films is what you want it to be, what
It's gonna happen.
It is gonna fucking happen. It is.
What will it look like in 5? If we're having this conversation, imagine we're having this podcast in 5 years' time, and you've nailed it. What does that look like?
I think it just looks like. Sorry, did you want to?
No, carry on.
You can add on as well if you. I think it's basically just to be completely kind of self-sufficient and working. Like we want to quit our day jobs. We don't want to be like striving to get money somewhere else. We want to get paid for doing the shit we want to do and doing it together as well. So it could change and be lots of different things. I think right now we are kind of keeping our doors open. I know that screeners kind of like have a niche, but we're still kind of figuring out maybe what that is or whatever. So, but that is kind of the main goal, I think, isn't it, guys? To be making stuff we want to be making, getting paid for it
with each other.
With each other.
I think having like a real headquarters as well that we can be doing that in. Like, you know, when you see certain offices, like there's one by Temple Museum that we all kind of like peered into, where it's like a glass fronted sort of thing, and it's kind of like all concretey, and we're thinking, we have some plans up there, and Luce can have her desk there, and Zena's studio can be at the back, and it's kind of like having a space where we're all just doing what we love and getting paid for it essentially, but also just having the agency to be able to do that and not have to worry about whether this is going to be a problem. Do you know what I mean? Whether we're wasting time or anything like that. It's actually, this is what we do.
Did you want to add anything? Sorry.
No, you.
Sorry.
Articulated it perfectly. So I guess, so let's again, I just want to drill it. The reason that I want to drill into what it actually looks like, because what for me, one of the ways to be free to act is being clear about what it looks like to succeed. I think the more we can get clear about what it looks like to succeed, the more that we can take the actions we need to take in order for that to kind of manifest itself, or for you to manifest it. So I guess what's a possible outcome? So again, with 5 years' time, what could possibly be going on? I've got the building. I can see the hanging plants, and I'm there. I'm peering through this beautiful glass, and I'm an envious. What will that be? A Y28 or Y26 student, 2026 student peering in. I get that bit, but what is it? Where is the cash money that is giving you the freedom? Yeah. Paying for your building. Where's that coming? Where could that? What's one of the scenarios that you see?
Well, I could. Oh, go on. Okay. I have a vision of. We've got maybe, let's say, 3 films going on at once. One is in pre-production, and you've got me and Lucy and Harry, and maybe you downstairs calling or in meetings about how we're going to bring this film to life. Then downstairs you've got Zena making the props for those films as well as the films that have already finished, and then we've got Jan working on a film right now, and we're calling him, making sure it's all on schedule, that we've got it. So there's 3 films going on at the same time. One of them is already in theatres, and that's giving us the revenue to put. And they've all either been started by one of us, or someone has come to us with an idea that we are producing it for them.
I think as well, when Jack says films, he means it could be a short film, it could be a music video, it could be a commercial.
I mean, I was personally thinking short film.
I think the aim really is to be able to do sort of narrative stuff, but we understand
and
that
getting funding for that, which is something why we're looking into it a lot now. Is trying to get funding for our passion.
That's what we're trying to figure out, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because we don't know where to get the money from. We still don't know. We don't know anything about that side.
Yeah.
We also as well want to be established as artists in ourselves, so that people come to us knowing what they want to get, as opposed to being like, these guys make films, let's get them to do what we want. Do you know what I mean? Right,
okay. So part of your vision is that you'll be doing work for other people, but on your own terms.
Yeah.
Yes.
Kind of thing. Yeah. So in the next podcast, we're talking with Dirty Jack, who've they're very clear what their kind of work they want to do, and they won't do any other kind of work, and they're loving it. And so for you, it's kind of like you will be hired because of your voice, kind of thing.
And we're still kind of figuring that out, I think, a little bit, which is why we can't really say, definitely what our kind of niche or what our thing we're focusing on is right now, because we're still kind of. I mean, also we want to be in the Philippines in 5 years doing your films.
Yeah.
So
we've got a couple of ideas.
Because I think one of many things that we all share is that even though it obviously helps to have a niche and set, like if Dirty Jack, if it works for them to not do certain things, they want to stick to one thing. Part of the reason that we would be open to doing other things if someone were to come to us is because we believe that everyone has a voice that they might want to share and might not be able to get, not know where to go to have their voice shared. So, but we would be open to hearing that and being like, okay, we could help you out if we wanted to. It'd be nice to be in that position, because that's kind of where we are now. So we'd want someone to be like, this is interesting, we could help you. So we'd hopefully like to be in that position later on, where we could do the same for someone else.
For someone to join you, or do you mean for a potential client? Or
I mean a client. Well,
okay,
I don't know join, but
yeah. So okay, let's just let's just let's talk about that wrangling with niche. I would say 90% of creators I talk to really don't want to be in a niche. Yeah, they're like, man, I want to be able to do whatever I want to do. That kind of freedom. In my tediously long experience, those that find that freedom to have the income they want, etc., do have, or at least start in a niche. And so I'm just, I guess, getting an understanding of to what extent you see a niche as constraining, whether you are genuinely looking for a niche. Just talk to me a bit more about that.
Well, right now we're just doing music videos, aren't we?
Right,
we don't want to be, there are people that said we don't want to be stuck with music videos forever, although I don't mind getting stuck with music videos. But right now that kind of is becoming, what we're starting with.
Okay, so that's something that's emerging as a possibility.
It's definitely like a starting point.
Yeah.
That's mostly what we've been doing for sure.
Also developing fiction stuff as well. I mean, we've still got stuff that are in post-production, that are like stuff that we started before we were here. But like Brandon, for instance, has written a series, and I'm producing that with him, and we're looking at how we can maybe get that off the ground, and whether we do it as sort of like a low budget, no budget web thing, or if we do it as like try and pitch it to someone like Channel 4. And
well, mostly what we're doing right now is just to just to add on what you're saying, is like obviously we can do stuff just off our own backs for free for fun, but like we want to, if we can, get paid for, especially like people like Brandon and you who have like such clear artistic visions, of like how do we get that seen, how do we get it appreciated, how do we get paid for it. And it's not necessarily about the money, but it's about having the money to do it the best we can, and like to look down all the avenues for it, because I feel like a lot of opportunity is missed because people just make things and kind of don't think about where it's going to go after that. So I mean, personally, that's like a main focus of mine right now, and I know we all kind of agree on that, is like, how do we get that? How do we get funding for these things?
Which is why the kind of niche of music videos is emerging, because that tends to be the thing at the minute that is paying us the most.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Also,
for the
does
funnest.
allow a bit of creative freedom sometimes.
Yeah, often.
But sometimes
It
doesn't.
For sure.
Which is, I suppose, we could bring us into something that maybe doesn't work.
Yeah.
Go on. Yeah, talk about it. Yeah.
We're not going to say like I'm going to be vague, but
yeah, you don't have to name names.
No, but I'm editing something at the moment.
Yeah.
And the process is very much like throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks, and that can be quite tedious if the client doesn't like what's at the wall. And when it's something that's quite technical and it's a long process, it can be quite disheartening when you've spent a lot of time doing something and they're like, nah, can you do that instead? And when you put so much of yourself into it as a creative person, and then they say, we don't like that, can you do this? And you feel like,
and they change it. They decide to use something super basic that literally takes 2 seconds to do.
Yeah, there's no
as opposed to that thing that you spent 10 hours on.
And it's like it kind of So we need to try and figure out a way that people who come to us trust us and know that we know that they know that we know what we're doing, and that is something that is going to be a real part of building this.
It's also the ultimate challenge.
Yeah,
no matter how successful you are. Again, I've not spoken to anybody at any level that doesn't get fucking annoyed with clients. But I think the thing that's interesting there, so one of the ways that you may be configuring yourselves is that we've got our personal projects that we want to develop and maybe raise funding for, and then we've got our client work. Now, if you can really create that, those two things to go side by side, then you can kind of unhook your your passion for the client work and be more dispassionate about it. So that when somebody says, I could just do that little thing and that will solve it, you go, okay, cool, that's a lot less effort than me redoing what I've just spent 10 hours doing. Because it's not personal.
That's
it feels personal.
It really does.
In the moment, it feels like, he just stabbed me in the
And also it feels like you're going against your integrity as an artist as well. Because you're like, I would not do that if that was down to me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And that hurts me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Imagine like you've like written these amazing like books, and someone's just like, can you just do like a cookery book instead? Do you know what I mean? You're just like, no.
and I think the more that you can bring in, who you are and your identity into the client work, great.
Exactly.
But
you need to let go.
You have to let go. And it's just like the more you can let go, the more enjoyable it becomes because you're just like, I'm going to do whatever it takes for that person to go, yes, nailed it. And at the end of the day, who knows? Like we kind of talk about artistic integrity, but at the end of the day, like for that client, they have got what they want to achieve with their audience. At the end of the day, it's their audience, not them, that's important. And you just, it's like, maybe you're right. Yeah, we all want to be right, don't we? but none of us know.
No,
that's the truth of the matter. None of us know.
Yeah.
And it's just unhooking that,
Totally.
But it's me. It's my work. It's my life. It's me. Just if you can put that into your work. Just like put that into your passion projects or whatever you want to call them. And by the way, everybody's got them. Lots of very successful directors I've spoken to, they might be doing Marvel series for Netflix or whatever, but they've got their passion projects they're trying to get going because they get to do things their way in those. And it doesn't come without the same challenges you're finding, really. Where's the money coming from? People don't want to fund it necessarily because it's a bit weird and wonderful to do. But I think the more you can just embrace that rather than fight it, because that battle never ends.
You never win.
Yeah, totally.
You never
it's
get
about
to
cutting
win.
your losses, though, isn't it? And
Totally.
like we were saying this the other day about, like we had a client saying something, and you were like, I just don't. And I was like, but mate, it's what they want, and it's like you do have to kind of like take yourself back, and I think that's kind of why Barri Films could be so amazing as well, because if we're having our client work and our kind of separate work, we've got a place to channel that into, and still, so we won't be so disheartened.
Exactly.
Because it's fucking horrible.
I kind of felt like that doing like the first paid work I got after graduating. Was the film we worked on. And like
Hamster Wheel.
Hamster Wheel, and like, and even though like the project itself wasn't something I would have personally wanted to make, I had to remember like it's okay, I'm not making it. I'm just producing it, which so I'm going to enjoy the fun of producing it. And I really did. So and for me, the satisfaction was just knowing that the director or the creator would be happy with it, and he did seem happy with it in the end. So it was like that for me was the satisfaction. Because it wasn't my thing, so it doesn't really matter.
Apparently, there's exciting news about that. I don't know yet.
Oh,
Oh. Is it your news?
Is it my news?
No. Johnny, the director, said that there's exciting news about the film.
What is the film?
It's called Hamster Wheel. It's I don't know if we can tell you too much because it's ours, but it's the really interesting thing about it is that it's all in one shot, and was done really well by.
Is it feature length?
No, it's short.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun. There's a lot of moving parts. Jack was producing, I was art director on it. It should be really cool. So hopefully. We'll
there's some news coming. Watch this space.
Exactly.
Next episode. Next episode. Yeah. Great. So we've got clients, the pain of clients, and again, nobody is immune to that. One of the other tricks that we had when we were, running our in-house client production here, was the client wants to have a voice. Yeah, that's a given. Like they want to have an opinion, but actually, one of the things that you can do is you can give them the thing that they're going to choose to feed back on, rather than ask them generally. So we might have decided on 2 titles, fonts that were going to, both worked from our perspective, but we give the client the choice. And the client would be like, good question. Yeah, I think I prefer the first one. That's the one we would have chosen.
Really good.
And it gives them the power. It gives them the power to have that, because a lot of clients just feel like they should have something to say. And equally, it's just like, if I ask your opinion about this table, you'll start thinking of things about it. Oh, yeah, I'm not sure about these knots being here. But without me asking, you don't care. You're not even thinking about it. And again, that's what a lot of us do. So that is just a little trick.
I like that.
Sales comes into this a lot. I think we've found, because I mean we have background in sales, and it's been helpful and definitely will be helpful. But that's really funny because I'd never thought about this. I mean, obviously this sales part works when you're talking through ideas with clients.
Yeah.
But I just never. That's such a good. Yeah, because of course, if you give someone a closed question, almost, they're not going to. Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Or if you give them an open one, they're just going to come up with all sorts of
stuff.
Yeah. So
fucking plugging things out of the air.
Control it. Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
So how do you control that open stuff? So how because sometimes they just look at it like, I don't like this. And
With the example that we're referring to, it's kind of like do this instead of that sort of thing.
So like
you
maybe
go
they
in,
get
you take
the initial...
so rather than, if you go in and say nothing, they're going to be open and start saying stuff. If you go in and direct the conversation, then they'll talk about that and they won't think about the other things. That's your challenge really. I mean, the other thing that we did was turning around things really quickly so that there wasn't any time for that kind of toing and fro. And the expectation was, we want this out on Friday. So you kind of in the client, you say, okay, let's get this out by Friday.
Push the urgency.
So push the urgency, and then it's just like they want to be part of that. And if you say, most of our clients are really great at getting things done and the decisions made, and we move forward quickly. They don't want to be the one that's dragging things out for weeks and weeks and weeks. So again, it's you'll think of other ways of doing that, but you want to you get to control the narrative more in that sense. Yeah. Whereas if you leave things open, then could go on for years.
We've already.
They might as well edit it.
Well, don't get started on that.
I think that's something that we've been it's been really interesting starting, because I mean, when did we graduate? Was it May?
So
it's not 6 months ago. Something.
Yeah.
And obviously we've had quite a few clients since then, but we've learnt so much each time, and I think it's we have definitely not always done the right thing or necessarily, but right now we're in a really interesting point where I think things are starting to click and the momentum's starting to come, and actually it's been really good having those clients, even if maybe sometimes we've either done something wrong or they've pissed us off, whatever it is. It's good because it is a learning curve, and like you said earlier, it's the challenge, isn't it? And every time someone's not happy or we're not happy, we learn something new.
Great.
And then we all talk about it, about how we're going to do it differently next time, which I think is
one thing we learned actually quite early on was like the value of our time, because we had a situation where work was done and then feedback was given in vast amounts, and vast 4-page document amounts, and we were like, with all due respect, you're not paying enough to be this kind of. Do you know what I mean? Because it was super low pay, and you hear it a lot actually. I remember I've spoke to a lot of people when I've been doing sort of industry work and stuff, and they've been like, like low paying clients are the worst, because with the people who pay like thousands, they're just like, just do it. Do you know what I mean? They trust you. They must to pay that much money. So that's something that is a really vital point, is figuring out the value of our work and our time.
And if you give someone, because we've done, for people that we've really wanted to work with, we've said, okay, look, we will do it for this stupidly small amount, because we want to work with you, but we've just explained, because you're paying this amount, you have to, these are what you have to expect. And it's about managing those expectations. If you're paying £100 or £200 for us to come film your gig, that's only really 2 people's day rate. So that having 2 people there and an editor, of course things are going to take a bit longer, and we've had really good experiences as well.
Well, that example, we did do a gig, and Luci really well managed those expectations with the client, and it was the first one we delivered. He's really happy with it. He's really happy with it. He's really happy with the value you got. He's really happy with the finished product.
That felt so good as well.
And he did actually ask for something a little bit more that was going to be more time consuming, because he'd been such a breeze to work with. I was like, cool, we'll do that, because
it was scratching each other's backs, and right now we're really interested in working with like up and coming artists, other creative people, because they're cut from the same cloth as us, right? So it's about helping each other, isn't it, and not shortchanging yourself and stuff like that. It's fun.
I guess that valuing thing. So it can be quite difficult to value yourself, can't it? But, especially when you're starting out. You're like, am I good enough? Is this good enough? One of the things I've always noticed is that just by valuing yourself, just by saying, right, I'm not doing it for free, I'm not doing this, that, and the other, actually opens up opportunities. And in fact, I think Dirty Jack might talk about this afternoon. They went into a client job where I think I don't know by what factor, but they changed their mind about how much they were going to ask for by a factor of 4. So, say it was £1,000, they said, we're going to charge £4,000, and the client didn't care less.
Yeah.
Didn't even think about it. And sometimes, like, people, in terms of, you were saying that when people are paying more, they tend to let you get on with it.
Yeah.
It's because you're confidently saying that people are like, oh, these guys are going to do a good job. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I remember, this is way before I was even working in film. I was working in IT, and I was working for this client, and we'd basically done this work as an insurance company in Paris, and we'd done this work, and we basically charged, I think, like £2,000 to do about 6 months' work, 2 of us. So we were, we were, living. I mean, it was more than £2,000 is now, but it was, we were really not getting by, and we thought, next project we're just going to have to ask for some more money, and we were like, I was absolutely bricking it. And I was in the lift with the managing director. And I just said, to be honest, we can't be charging the rates we've been charging. We need to charge you X £100 a day. How is that? And he went, I don't know why you didn't ask earlier. That's literally all he said. And I was just like, but it was a total change. And it's like suddenly, we're able to do 2 days a week doing that, and then writing screenplays the rest of the time. Well. And it was just, and everyone was happy. He was
There's no harm in asking.
And if you don't, there's almost a guarantee if you don't ask, it's not happening. That's the guarantee.
Because everyone wants to get the best deal they can.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
So if you say, we'll do it for 200,
quick,
take my money, sign the contract. Yeah.
And I think culturally, we're really uncomfortable talking about money, aren't we? Particularly in the UK. And I think that is a muscle to work and practice. And I imagine that's something you're quite good at, Lucy.
She did say.
But just really, and even with those people, that you kind of, I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine kind of thing, is just try and keep it on the level, because otherwise, even if they start to succeed more, you've kind of set yourself up as the cheap people, and it's very difficult to break that. It's very difficult. We
have also said, I mean, I completely agree, but we've to those specific clients that we have said to them, like, look, we understand, because we basically, the way we came up with the price was asking, what can you afford? And so we did, we said, okay, we'll do this for this price this time. If you come to us again and you have more money, we are going to charge you more. And I think you figure out as well the kind of people you want to work with when they respond, because obviously if you're doing something to help someone else, it's a nice thing to do, but you're running a business at the end of the day, you need to have a payout. And obviously we don't know if those people are going to come back to us, but at least we've kind of said that is not the price, you are getting this fucking dirt cheap, don't. So hopefully that might as well kind of help manage that. They're not going to go spread the word, be like, oh, sick, I got a video for 200 quid, because they know that that's not how much we would charge. Again.
Yeah, great.
You get one of those.
And I think, even invoicing with real clarity and discounting, it's just like, this is how much, this is, it's going to cost you £8,000 if we've done it all, but we've done it for 2 or whatever, and put that discount written in there and give it a reason, and it just has in there everyone's minds. Okay, this is where things are at. Great, So what are the other challenges? What are the things that you're dealing with in terms of next steps? And
would you guys like to?
Gear is something, because obviously we don't have money and we don't have gear. Obviously, thank you for allowing us to use Screenology gear still. But not having it on your side, saying, I can just shoot this now today, and not having to worry about that is quite big, because you have nothing, and when you have nothing, you don't really know what to use.
You can't do anything quick, off the bat. Okay, I'll be there today. Especially for someone like you've got those camera skills, you could just potentially, if you get a job last minute, just go and do it if you had your own stuff like that, couldn't you?
So that's something that we do quite heavily right now, actually.
Right. Okay. So you said earlier, effectively, you are running a business, right?
Yes.
That is what you're doing above all and every, that is what you're up to really in lots of ways. So I wonder whether you just need to consider that even more so, so that, because most businesses start with some money. I needed a whole ton of money to start Screenology. I couldn't have done it, without that. And so, maybe you're going to have to go and ask people for money. Now, to do that, you have to be really, really clear how they're going to get that money back. So, one of the things that you want to be thinking about is, like, in this period of time, is demonstrating that you can get work, deliver work, and so you've got that kind of track record. Because then, somebody who's a potential investor can go, now if they had all the money, if they had the money for gear, and then they'd be able to generate more money, and then I'm going to see a return on my investment. And again, it's kind of partly a mindset shift for you. It's like you think, oh yeah, but we're not good enough to get money to there. But again, if you don't ask, and one of the things about asking is people will say no, but they'll tell you why.
Yes.
And then you've got some room to like go, okay, over the next 3 months we will do more of that, or we will get clearer on that, or the downside of that is that it is going to be someone else's opinion about things. So just before Screenology, I did a project where I was supporting artists, and we had 10 investors, and it was an absolute nightmare because it was it wasn't 10 opinions, it was about 5 of them. The people that put in the least money had the most opinions. The people that put in a lot of money were like, yeah, just get on with it. We trust you. We trust you. Just get on with it. Whereas the people that put in less, were very. So there is that, but again, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because the thing that we all have to get clear as creatives is we don't get to live in a bubble of like whatever we want. Even Christopher Nolan's and blah blah blah. They're answerable to a lot of people because they're dealing with a lot of money. I think Rich Reese, one of the staff members here, talked about seeing a talk with Danny Boyle, and people were saying, oh, how about your creative freedom? And Danny Boyle was just like, I get a lot of money off some people that I need to please, and they're part of the mix. Thinking about the, I'm thinking about the audience. I know I do really diversity of things, but all the time I've got to think about where, are people going to buy tickets for this? Are people going to watch this on their streaming devices? Blah blah blah. And so the more as creatives that we are thinking about, we've got like 1 foot in our creativity and 1 foot in the audience and people out there, the better. And the risk is not doing that, because what the risk of that is you end up doing the jobs you hate for the rest of your life while kind of dreaming of doing this other stuff. And it is always a compromise. That is one thing I'm clear. Nobody gets to do what they want to do. And actually, most of the successful directors that I know that are doing their own projects have started out in the commercial world. They have started out doing these kinds of projects. And I think that, particularly you're in an environment now where there are lots of people that want to put money into young people because they're kind of divorced from understanding what young people are into.
Definitely.
And so you can kind of sell that. And now if you sell it from the place of we can be this asset to you, I think there's something really positive around that. And also I think selling into investors as well, that is again is a possibility. It's like if you're creating really cool and interesting work, you could create hype around that has people want to, give you some money. And so that would be, we probably haven't got time to go into that much this time, but I think next time it'd be really good to look at what are some of the things that you can do in order to, get that, what we call capital, is like money to build your business. So that you're not, scrabbling around thinking, oh, we haven't got a camera to do this thing we need to do.
Well, there is one thing though, that just to end on that, is that we did talk about that very briefly at the beginning during our first meeting about what we were going to do, about should we start asking for money, where would we go to ask for money, and we kind of delayed that. But I think the fact that we did do that was a very good thing, because apart from settling in graduate life, because we first had to settle ourselves as graduate life, and then we had to get used to dealing with clients, and now I feel like Lucy and also Harry and you as well, like now would have a lot more confidence than perhaps a few months ago to ask for money for a certain reason and to know why. So it's I think we will start discussing that at some point again, but the very fact that we waited and had a bit more experience with clients will help us with that, I think. So
that break we had,
break
we had actually was like so essential.
It really
as well.
was.
I know this is just to quickly say this because when you're studying for 3 years and you leave, you don't really think about it, but actually your whole life has changed there. And actually just mentally, I think we all needed a bit of time because it's actually like just pre-warning like current students, it is fucking weird graduating because all of a sudden you're like, fuck, I'm on my own. It's really, and we've all been really struggling, and it's been nice because.
But we're struggling together.
Precisely, struggling together, and we now know, we know what we're working towards. But that gap was essential. I think. Yeah, I've just taken.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter. You saying it won't make any difference until you experience it.
Oh yeah.
But hopefully,
I'm saying that to the graduates.
But hopefully, just us saying that when you experience it, it's gonna feel scary and perhaps shit. But it's okay as long as you keep your head.
You gotta push through
because you won't be alone. You won't be. You won't be alone.
And make it so you're not alone. Like one bit of advice I'd give, especially to Screeno students, like we're all very similar with our kind of ethos here of like band together, make something. If you find people you like working with here, keep them. Because after uni, like you guys we've all been lifting each other up, supporting each other. Without you, I mean, I wouldn't be doing this stuff. So
I think it's good that we realise that we're in shit right now. Because remember when we would have that meeting, I was like, I mean, we're already at rock bottom. Harry literally lives in the studio. One of our guys literally lives in the studio. So we were like, there's nothing but up here. He's just, once he moves out, that's it. We know we've got momentum. That's
so it. Which he is, if you know.
Exactly.
We're moving.
But
great.
Yeah, I think as well, one thing we're sort of wrestling with is what pace we move at. Like, we're not a limited company yet. That's something we sort of spoke about a lot, and it's like, when do we make that choice? Does that affect this? Does it affect that? Does that mean we're gonna have to start keeping books and stuff? Do we do that now, or do we wait until we've found our feet and our rhythm? Do you know what I mean? Like, we're really trying to figure out how our boss rolls. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I would say one of the things that you want to do is to get really clear about your rhythm and pacing now. Like, don't let the other things decide on your rhythm and pacing. It's like, get into rhythm and pacing. Like, so for example, and I don't know if you're doing this, but you want to have a cycle of meetings that you're having that are very clear. Like one that is like, okay, what's our financials? Like if you're not talking about your financials ideally once a week, but once a month, you're not taking it seriously.
Interesting.
So you're gonna want to talk about the creative things. You want to talk about the fun things. Yeah, get all that, but that'll happen. Whatever you'll do that anyway. Whereas you won't do the things necessarily without some sort of formality. So I would be, almost thinking, in fact, I've had a similar conversation with Dirty Jack very recently. Just have a kind of financial structure, even though there's not much money you're dealing with at the moment.
Right,
but it's just like, if you can't say this month we earned this much, and that last month we earned that much, and this time 6 months ago we earned that much, and you can't see a trajectory. You're not going to get to where you need to get to.
Just flying blind.
Totally,
and so and just to be really, just to get back to this, we've not got long left, but is your freedom is going to come from that financial freedom. And so it's not going to come from your creative ideas. No. That isn't your freedom. You want to execute your creative ideas, and the way to do that is to not be having to work full time doing things you don't want to be doing. Is to have the money to buy the gear you need to buy, and so getting really clear about money is, I would recommend is your next step is just like, okay, who's going to be responsible for tracking the money? Who's going to be responsible for, who's going to attend the financial meetings? How often are we going to have them? And how are we looking? So, and with that is the other this is all numbers really, but the money's numbers, but also like, how many calls are we making to new potential clients? Because you want to be doing probably anything between 10 and 50 times what you're doing already.
100%.
Well, we didn't touch upon it, but there's a hiccup there. We can talk about that in the next episode.
We've got 2 minutes.
Well, just air on it quickly, because I don't know what you're going to say. But.
Well, basically, just where we're based at the moment, we kind of went into it. We thought, this is great. But we're discovering it doesn't quite work for us. And one of the main issues is that there's no signal.
Our internet doesn't work.
Our internet doesn't work, and you can't make phone calls. So that's like a really big problem, and we're looking at addressing that, and we can talk more about that in the next episode.
Yeah, well, you know, whoever's making the phone calls can come here or go somewhere. You know.
Yes, but that's not an end. Thank you, we appreciate it, and we will, and we have been. But like it can't go on like this for too much longer. Because even
pouring money away.
But even like when we're editing and like trying to send files and all that fucking stressful shit, our internet doesn't work. Right. So our clients are having to come into our studio to pick up their stuff. So
I suppose all I'm saying is make sure that the phone calls are more important than thinking about the internet. And that's you know, so it's kind of that is going to be your you know, that's going to be the energy that's going to drive all of the other things. Is the money, you know, it's possible jobs, money, and again, you know, the more choice you've got over clients. So you can never have too many people you're talking to, because the more choice you've got, the more you'll find the clients that want to spend the money and do the kinds of projects you want to do. And again, it's the last thing that any of us want to do. You know, it's the last thing I want to do is think about the finances, but I don't have to think about it constantly. And that is going to be part of what most of you are going to be involved in to some extent as you grow. And the more successful you are, the more difficult.
The most uncomfortable job I have in this company is asking everyone for the rent money.
You already someone.
You did.
And I guess just that transparency around money with each other. The more it is the kind of again, it's that British taboo, but it's where the freedom lives. Absolutely. It's just it is really where the freedom lives. All right, so we're going to wrap up. Has anyone got any last words they want to say about anything to do with anything that we've covered, or look. We've even got a beeper, but we can run slightly over. But is there anything? You left with any kind of
We have all these worries, but in general, we're all just really excited. Really excited because we game plan for the year, and the year's looking really good.
The year's looking great.
But it's about pushing, really pushing.
Really pushing.
And like you were saying about pace, and like obviously we have to not just go like too much, obviously we'll burn out, but I think we're all at the stage right now where we're like, we want to chug forwards, like go as quickly as possible, because we've all got the fire under our asses right now, so we want to
because we had a really good year last year.
We did,
but the year coming up seems like it's going to be even better, which is scary good.
Gonna make it happen.
Good, excellent. So my last quick question is, where will you be if I speak to you in 12 months' time? I'll speak to you before that. If we speak in 12 months' time, where will you be at? What will you be saying?
New studio? Is that what you like? Kind of where?
Okay,
we're be? I know that you're saying that's not like, but for us, we'll be more established.
I've got that the building's really important.
Yeah,
it is.
Space is
it is because also for us, like our space isn't just a working space; it's also like where we socialise with each other. You know, it's kind of it's like our home.
Yeah, we don't have a social life at the moment.
Oh no,
this is our social life.
But so that is a big one. But I think also having a very clear client base, our websites being like top notch,
crisp,
kind of basically this time
How many
of
clients
year,
will you have?
At least 10.
Okay, great.
That's a good
current
one.
working.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
We're being
how much will you be turning over?
I don't know.
That's
We're going to have to figure this out.
That's
We'll
you can save that for next time.
And
seriously,
Mooney might be out.
Oh yeah.
Mooney might be out.
Mooney will be out.
It will be.
Definitely.
Great. Yeah, we'd love to show it at one of our next screenings. So, yeah.
I don't know about that, but
Maybe
one day soon. Trailer can happen.
Yeah. Okay. Great. All right. Well, thanks so much, everybody, and I look forward to seeing you probably in a couple of months' time. Yeah. We'll do it again.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.